Observing horses in the wild. Perhaps you might think, well, then you will see a lot of fights because horses are always fighting for the one who is in charge, for the one who is the alpha horse. And at the left, now in the middle, you will see the stallion. Now this is part of a band, and if I remember well, it was a band of 8 horses. Now the stallion is standing at the left, and as you can see, he's eating, they're grazing together with 2 mares, and obviously nothing special is happening. They see something far away, they look, and nothing is happening. Let's take a closer look, and let's first look at the condition of the horses. What do you see? Well, there's a young mare standing in the middle. Now the young mare is obviously not in the condition of our domesticated horses. She's definitely not too fat, but she's in a pretty good condition. At the right you see an older mare who's also not in a perfect condition, but not in a bad condition either. But what you can see right away is at the left that the stallion is in pretty well condition. Does it mean that these horses are bad? No. It means that these horses, it's September now, that these horses are in the condition that they are supposed to be. There is less food, there is a lot to graze. Still, it's amazing what they eat. I couldn't see perfectly what they eat. But they're not in a bad condition at all. Another thing what you might have noticed, as well as I did, is the shine of the stallion. And it makes sense because in the wild, the mares get fillies, they give birth to babies, and they have lactating mares, so foals are drinking with the mares. And that takes a lot of energy and a lot of body weight and a lot of fat, etc., etc. The stallion, though, doesn't have to do a lot except for being him and being a good member of the herd. There are many ways to explain why a stallion has many mares and why the social relationships of horses is like that. One of the things is that the stallion is the one who breeds. And now he's smelling some things, and you can see him grazing and looking around. Left foot in front, grazing around his left foot, and then right foot in front, and then grazing around his right foot. How interesting. No, no, not at all. But this is what happens in the wild. This is one of the observations, and I think I taped it out of hand, I'm not sure, or I was fighting with a camera, I'm not sure. Anyway, sorry for the bad quality of the filming. But what is my point I want to make? My point is actually that I want to explain to you, show you how horses in the wild live and how calm, and there's no fight about who is in charge, who is the leader, who is the alpha, and there are no other horses who want to get higher in their ranking. In the wild, a stallion is living together with several mares, and what I didn't know, what was pretty amazing to me, was that mares can change their bands. Most of the time they stick together, but when a mare gets full, the band, it's possible that the band goes a little bit further and she loses her band. That doesn't mean she's alone, because there will be more bands or bachelor group around. So she sometimes changes bands, which I thought was pretty remarkable, because I also had the idea that they would stick lifetime together. The difference in between a stallion and a mare is also that he normally doesn't tolerate too many males around him. They fight. Well, fighting is a big word. There are fights. I mean, I don't say that there are no fights at all. But many times the conflicts that they get in the wild are short. well, it's, if you would translate it in human language, you would say, they say, buck off, get away. And there's a small discussion about that, and then they stay away. It's also, what also was very remarkable was to see that there was, for instance, there's one bachelor band of 3 young stallions who were living very close to one of the bands. And if I remember well, it was a band of 16 animals, I'm not sure. I think it was. And I was looking at my notes, and they sort of lived next to each other. Whenever we came to this place, we would find these bachelors next to the band. So that's against many books and many methods of training, and where people say you have to be the leader, you have to be the alpha, because otherwise your horse will disrespect you. Well, I think peace and calmness, I think, show a lot of respect. It shows respect for the other one. It shows respect for the life. Of course, it doesn't sell very well. I mean, it sells better if you make people bullies, and you tell people, well, you should dominate your horse because your horse has own will and he wants to be in charge, and you have to be in charge. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, let's go back to this. We're doing this movie now for about 6 minutes, and nothing special happens. They're just grazing, they're watching each other, they're together. I can assure you it's pretty hot out there, and it might seem that it's bad weather. It's not. It was about, I think, 34 degrees or so outside. And this is something you see all the time. I was doing a pee. Wow, very spectacular. This is what happens, and you can see his condition is pretty good because he doesn't have this suckling foal, and he doesn't have these mare competitions. He doesn't have to breed, he just has to be himself, and he's interested in his environment. And I think that's very useful when we go to our domesticated horses, because we see a lot of conflicts in domesticated horses. And one of the reasons, I think, is that these wild horses, they get born in the wild, they know each other, they look, they observe horses, they observe horse behavior, and they know how to behave. And many times I noticed, at least, and I always say, if you notice something, it's for you, it's important. I also noticed that I saw several mares, not this stallion alone, but with several other stallions, several young mares who were sort of looking up to this stallion, who were spending some time together with him. And I can also, that was also, thank God, something I already knew, how amazing fathers these stallions are. They're gentle, they're tolerant, they don't fight if they don't have to. They do stick around, they just are. And here you can see that the stallion definitely walks a little bit further from his herd compared to all kinds of methods you might have learned, you might have seen. No, he's doing the herding, he's doing nothing, he's just being himself. And this is something you see happen a lot in the wild. He's doing a poo. Wow, very spectacular movie. I can assure you that there will be more movies about these horses in the wild, and only few are filled with some spectacular things. Things that I think are very spectacular, for instance, are the calmness, the peace, the interesting way of how they live together, and the way they take care of the foals. Foals are sort of, not really holy, but foals, they take a lot of behavior of the foals, which perhaps, according to humans, might not be good. You should not tolerate. Well, I think you should. I also think that growing up for a horse in a herd where they have several mares and several other ages, perhaps a bachelor band around, is the most perfect way to grow up, because this horse learns to be a horse. Now, what's more important for a horse, especially in the wild, to be horse? There's nothing more. How do I translate this towards our domesticated horses? Well, one recommendation I would like to do is make sure there is a grown-up in between, best more grown-ups living together with the foals. I mean, putting 1-year-old together and expect them to become mature and good horses is not smart to think of. Okay, thanks for watching.